Well, nobody's, as far as I know, I haven't seen him. He has no answers, and you're exactly right. Here we are still waiting from the first assassination attempt, and you go back to Kennedy days. We still don't even know what happened with the Kennedys, quite frankly. But Mayorkas needs to step up and do his job instead of going hiding, and that's basically what he's done, and people want to hear the answer, and we need to know the answers.
Let me move on, get your take on this. The House Republicans are set to question Small Business Administration head Isabel Guzman today over alleged efforts to register voters in Democrat-heavy areas of Michigan. The House Small Business Committee has since demanded information like documents, travel schedules of top agency officials. But you say you're being stonewalled. What exactly is going on there in Michigan, sir?
In the wake of 2 shocking assassination attempts on former President Donald Trump, a storm of criticism has erupted from Fox News hosts and Republican lawmakers, with Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas at its epicenter. The airwaves are crackling with frustration, anger, and demands for accountability, painting a picture of a department head seemingly adrift in a sea of crises. The narrative begins with a scathing indictment from Congressman James Comer, who sets the stage for the barrage of criticism to follow.
Well, we had a hearing this week just to highlight the failures of the Biden-Harris administration. And when you look at record high inflation, the crisis at the southern border, and chaos on the international scene like we've never seen before, you look at all the people that have worked in the Biden-Harris administration, Mayorkas stands out as the worst of the worst. And the fact that this is a continuation, if you vote for Harris for president, this is a continuation of the failed Biden-Harris policies, and nothing's been a bigger failure than what Mayorkas has done on the southern border. Then you add into the fact that he's in charge of FEMA and he's in charge of the Secret Service. I mean, everything Mayorkas touches has been a problem, and it's been a problem for the American people.
Comer's words echo like a thunderclap across the political landscape, reverberating through the halls of Congress and the studios of Fox News. His statement is not just a critique. It's a comprehensive indictment of Mayorkas' leadership across multiple fronts. By linking Mayorkas to broader failures of the Biden-Harris administration, Comer elevates the criticism from a personal attack to a systemic issue, suggesting that Mayorkas' failures are symptomatic of a larger problem within the current government. As the dust settles from Comer's opening salvo, the focus shifts to the most pressing concern: the safety of political figures, particularly former President Trump. The recent assassination attempts have thrown the spotlight on the Secret Service, which falls under Mayorkas' purview. The questions are numerous, but the answers are frustratingly scarce. This frustration is eloquently articulated by Congressman Jim Jordan.
Well, I mean, I think the first takeaway is he talked about deficiencies. I mean, yeah, the President of the United States got shot in the head. Corey Compertore lost his life, and 2 other Americans were injured. Of course, there's deficiencies and complacencies, I think, is the words that he used. And then he talked about some paradigm shift that's taking place. Well, it seems to me the paradigm shift should have taken place before Sunday, before the attack or the attempted assassination attempt on President Trump down in Palm Beach. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of confidence here in what's going on. Now, the agents, the president is right, I think, to commend the agents who have been working hard for him. We understand that. But like so many of these agencies in D.C., it's not the guys on the ground, it's the people at the top of the problem. And speaking of the people at the top, where's Mayorkas? We haven't heard, I don't think we've heard one word from him since the attempted assassination attempt on President Trump this past weekend. Where's he? After all, Secret Service is part of Homeland Security. What is this guy doing?
Jordan's statement underscores the gravity of the situation, while simultaneously highlighting what he perceives as an inadequate response from leadership. His rhetorical question about Mayorkas' whereabouts becomes a powerful refrain, echoing throughout the ongoing narrative of criticism. As the story unfolds, the criticism of Mayorkas extends beyond his handling of the assassination attempts. The ongoing crisis at the southern border, a perennial hot-button issue, is woven into the tapestry of discontent. Mayorkas, as the face of the administration's border policies, bears the brunt of the criticism for what many Republicans view as a catastrophic failure of immigration enforcement. The chorus of disapproval grows louder with each passing day, each unanswered question. The absence of clear, decisive communication from Mayorkas himself only serves to fuel the fire of discontent. This vacuum of leadership is perhaps most eloquently articulated by Larry Kudlow, whose frustration is palpable.
Now, at that point last Sunday, there was no presidential level protection on the golf course. Now, this Tuesday evening, this past Tuesday afternoon, at a Politico event, DHS Secretary Mayorkas issued an incredible word salad that frankly seems to dodge any clarity on this subject at all. And I'll just go through it. The Secret Service, quote, has indeed enhanced the former president's security posture so that he is receiving a level of security commensurate with the fact that he's a former president and on the campaign trail. And so his alignment with the security posture of our president is in fact quite approximate. How can you, in fact, quite approximate? You're either in or you're out. I don't see any clarity here. What is he talking about? And by the way, why hasn't Mayorkas made any official appearances at all? The guy is nowhere to be found, whether it's Secret Service protection or the catastrophe at the U.S. southern border or anything. Where is Mayorkas?
Kudlow's critique cuts to the heart of the matter, the perceived lack of clarity and straightforward communication from Mayorkas. The phrase word salad is particularly damning, suggesting a deliberate obfuscation rather than a genuine attempt to address concerns. Kudlow's breakdown of Mayorkas' statement highlights the frustration many feel with what they perceive as evasive and unclear communication from a key government official during a time of crisis. As the days pass and the criticism mounts, the calls for accountability grow louder. The narrative shifts from mere frustration to demands for concrete action. Congressman Mike Garcia, his voice tinged with determination, lays out the path forward.
Yeah, we all know that. We all know all roads lead to Mayorkas here. We have brought him in for the border. We've brought him in for other homeland security issues. He's going to come in. He's going to testify. He's not going to bring in right answers. He's not going to bring in an understanding of root cause analysis to this point. I think having the operators come in and explain to us real time what they saw. The middle management folks expressing where the gaps are and what the needs are. This is where we're going to learn the most.
Okay.
And the accountability of Mayorkas comes when this election is over, frankly, and he's either out of a job or we investigate him with President Trump in the White House. But
yeah.
He's not going to squeezing Mayorkas more is a fool's errand at this point on things like this.
Garcia's words paint a picture of a man on borrowed time, a leader whose explanations have worn thin. The phrase, all roads lead to Mayorkas, is particularly telling, positioning the secretary as the nexus of all that's gone wrong in Homeland Security. However, Garcia's statement also suggests a strategic approach to the issue, acknowledging that immediate pressure on Mayorkas may not yield results, and instead focusing on a longer-term approach to accountability. As the narrative progresses, the criticism of Mayorkas becomes a lens through which broader issues are examined. The perceived failures in leadership at DHS are linked to wider concerns about national security, immigration policy, and the overall competence of the current administration. The story takes on a new dimension as it intersects with the ongoing presidential campaign. The assassination attempts on Trump are not just a security issue, they're a political powder keg. Questions arise about the fairness of protection for different candidates, the potential impact on the electoral process, and the ability of the government to ensure a safe and secure election. In this charged atmosphere, every word, every action or inaction from Mayorkas is scrutinized. His attempts at explanation are dissected, his absences noted, his leadership questioned at every turn. The narrative becomes one of a man under siege, a department in disarray, and a nation left wondering about its security. As the days turn into weeks, the story shows no signs of abating. New revelations, new criticisms, and new demands for accountability emerge with regularity. Mayorkas, whether present or absent, remains at the center of the storm, a lightning rod for criticism from across the political spectrum. The narrative that emerges is one of a department head seemingly overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenges facing him. From border security to the protection of political figures, from cybersecurity to disaster response, the breadth of DHS responsibilities is staggering, and at every turn, in the eyes of his critics, Mayorkas seems to be falling short. Yet, as the criticism mounts, questions begin to arise about the fairness of placing all the blame on one man. Some voices, albeit quieter ones, begin to ask whether Mayorkas is being set up as a scapegoat for broader systemic issues. Is he truly the architect of these failures, or is he merely the public face of a more complex set of problems? These questions, however, do little to stem the tide of criticism. The narrative of Mayorkas as a failed leader, as the worst of the worst in the Biden administration, continues to gain traction. It becomes a rallying cry for those opposed to the current administration's policies, a shorthand for all that they see as wrong with the current approach to Homeland Security. As the storm of criticism continues to swirl around Alejandro Mayorkas, the question remains, will the Secretary of Homeland Security find a way to address these mounting concerns and regain control of the narrative? Or will he continue to be buffeted by the winds of discontent? The coming weeks and months promise to be crucial, not just for Mayorkas personally, but for the entire Department of Homeland Security, and indeed for the security of the nation as a whole. As the story unfolds, one thing is certain: the eyes of the nation will remain fixed on this embattled figure at the center of the storm.